Sometimes I feel like very few will believe I saw the sky rip open and seeing another dimension. Posted by Nelson_78. I know it's hard to believe, but when I was 16, walking outside with a friend, I literally saw the sky rip open, and it was like I was looking in another dimension or galaxy. It was way too big to be an aurora and definitely not fireworks. Can't even describe it, but it seemed like something from a movie. Almost thought I was dreaming, and I wasn't high either. I asked my friend if he sees that, and he didn't say anything. He just kept staring at it. It disappeared in like 2 minutes, and I was awed but terrified, LOL. He just went home and wouldn't respond to me. Guess it was traumatizing for him because I asked the next day to prove it to my sister that I wasn't just seeing things, and he just said he didn't want to talk about it. That was still a really cool experience. It made me feel like there's still more to this physical life and laws we don't know. I think in a little sense, my optimism for it to be possible manifested it, but I don't know. A missing ID card found. Posted by Ship with Sales. Last winter, I was in a pharmacy to buy medicine for my daughter. I was waiting for my turn with my queue number. I took my daughter's ID card from my wallet and put it in my winter jacket's pocket. Soon, my turn came and I had to show the ID card to buy the medicine, but there was no ID card in my pocket. In any pocket or in my wallet. We searched for the card on the floor. No one had seen it, and it was nowhere to be found. I gave them my phone number if they would find it eventually. I was really upset about it, and I had to get a new ID card. Well, now when the winter is here, and I took the same jacket from the closet, I put my hand in the pocket and voila! There was the missing ID card. I'm happy it never got lost, but I wonder where this card was for all these months. Well, it wasn't in my pocket, but now it was again. I'm really sure it wasn't in my pocket when I searched for it, and I wore this jacket many times after the incident. So, another glitch in the Matrix. Is someone or something trying to send me a message? Posted by Havoc8907. I'm not the greatest storyteller, so my apologies if this makes no sense. A couple of years ago, I met this girl who I will refer to as Marla. I met her online through an app called Whisper. One day, I came across a Whisper posted by her. It was about how it's a red flag if a guy is in his 30s and still living in his mom's basement. The app has a chat feature, so I sent her a message. She messaged me back an hour or two later. You're not a beautiful and unique snowflake. Her response had nothing to do with what I initially messaged her, so I was confused. I responded with, huh? She then proceeded to remind me that my username was Tyler Durden and that her message was a reference to a quote from the movie. It had completely flown over my head, to be honest. I don't recall why I did, but I took a screenshot of our initial convo. Conversations on the app would usually fizzle out after a couple of hours. It didn't happen with her, though. After a couple of days of talking through the app, we exchanged pictures and phone numbers. We got along well. We would text all day and the convos never went stale. After a couple of weeks of texting, I finally worked up the courage to ask her out. We made plans to meet up at a diner. She was even prettier in person. We hung out for a couple of hours and I thought it went pretty well. There were no awkward silences. We laughed at each other's jokes. She even opened up to me about some stuff that was going on in her life. After dinner, we drove around for a bit and she passed by her childhood home. At the end of the date, she asked me if I was free to go with her to IKEA the following Sunday. I've been on bad dates, but this was not one of them. This is not a story about how a guy meets a girl and they both live happily ever after. About a week after our date, she simply stopped replying to my texts. I was genuinely surprised that she was ghosting me. I was sad, sure, but more than anything, I recall being shocked. I blew up her phone with texts and calls, seeking an explanation. Unfortunately, I never got one. After a couple of days, I gave up and decided to move on. I deleted her phone number, I deleted all the pictures she ever sent me. I also deleted the screenshot of our first convo that I took. Let's fast forward to 2019. Around this time last year, I was talking to this girl. One day she texts me and tells me that she wasn't feeling it anymore and that we should go our separate ways. I appreciated her honesty and wished her well. It sucked, but I wasn't too hurt over it. I got to thinking, though. I reflected back on the girls I had met and dated over the past several years. I got to thinking about Marla. Yeah, she ghosted me, but from her personality perspective, I haven't met anyone quite like her. What happened next is something I can't explain. I was in my room thinking about her and how I was done with the casual dating scene. Mind you, I was completely sober during this endeavor. I then get an email. Nothing crazy, right? We get those all the time. It was an email from myself. There was no subject line or text in the body. There was an attachment, though. It was the screenshot I took of our first conversation. I had deleted the screenshot years ago, right after Marla had ghosted me. What's more, I took the screenshot on a phone that I stopped using a while ago. I never told anyone I took that screenshot, not even Marla. Emails don't just appear out of nowhere. Yeah, technology can be glitchy, but not like this. I have no explanation as to how I received that email. If anyone has any theories, I'm all eyes. Edit. I downloaded the attachment so I can post the screenshot here. Also, Marla is a fake name. Obviously, I'm not going to post her real name on Reddit. My mom had something strange happen to her today. Posted by Kate, not Kate. My mom called me today after she'd gotten off of work. Her voice was noticeably anxious. I asked her if everything was okay, and she told me something strange had happened to her while she was at work. She said she was inside her workplace when she pulled out her phone to call in an order for food. However, her phone's screen was so dim that she could hardly see what she was doing. She tried to turn her brightness up, but it was already on full brightness. Confused by this, she stepped outside for a moment to see if she could see the screen better out there. Right as she had stepped outside, her phone screen and the lights in the surrounding area started flickering or flashing bright, then going dim for a few moments. She said it all happened at once, as if her cell phone and the street lights surrounding business lights were in unison. She was pretty freaked out when this happened, and said she could almost feel a heavy energy around her. I can understand the lights flickering, but the phone glitching out at the same time as though they were synchronized is what really stumped me. Does anyone know what could have happened, or could she have experienced a glitch? Edit. Thanks for all the positive feedback, guys. I've never had this much interaction on a post. I'm glad some others found it interesting as well. I called her this morning addressing the health concerns everyone commented about. She insists she's feeling fine. I hope if this is recurring, she will seek medical attention. I also got some more details that I thought I should add. She mentioned that when the lights and phone were flickering, the lights inside her workplace stayed on and were the only lights around her that did not glitch out. She said she even saw the headlights on a truck in the parking lot start flickering as well. Apparently, this went on long enough for her to observe all of her surroundings, not just a quick flash moment. She says she was sure she was going to look up and see something, like she felt a presence around her. That's all the details I have. Pretty weird stuff. She has a Reddit as well, and I let her know her story caught some others' interest, so she might hop on this thread later to explain herself better. Thanks again for all the feedback. What happened to me? Posted by Lauren0101. A couple of years ago, I was walking around the town with one of my friends, just doing my usual shop with bags in my hands. My friend and I decided to have a look in different shops. So she entered into one close by, and I had to cross the road to get to the shop I wanted to go to. As I was crossing the road, bearing in mind that I had looked both directions and the road was clear, a car came out of nowhere and hit me. The pain was unbearable. It felt like I was being crushed all over, and then everything went dark. Then all of a sudden, I was standing on the path again where I stood before I crossed the road, or so I thought I did. The pain stopped too, like it didn't even happen. What made it even more confusing is that the bags I had in my hands before were no longer in my hands. I told my friend and she was just as confused because she knew I had bags with me. But she said what I explained was too far-fetched to be believable. I can honestly agree with her, but this experience that I may have had cannot be ignored. I guess all I can now say is that day was a waste of money, LOL. Has something like this ever happened to anyone else? Can anyone explain this?